Now, the next piece I wanted to cover was sent in by a listener, and it's an alleged interview with a reptiloid creature. And this is an actual physical interview. This isn't channeled stuff. So it's an actual physical meeting between a human being and this other humanoid. Now, apparently this meeting took place in Sweden in 1999 and was then edited and shortened at the request of this being, this reptoid being, and then passed on to some reliable friends to do the translation. So it's been translated into German, English, Spanish, Italian, and French. And these are the transcripts of 2 interviews that allegedly took place. Now, the idea of reptiloid or reptoid type beings has been around in UFO lore for a long, long time. And I guess the most prominent case is the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill, a very famous abduction where she described reptilian-looking beings with kind of scaly skin and drew what they looked like. And then, of course, you have the writings of people such as David Icke, who talk about the existence of these beings through the history of the planet and their appearance in the myths and legends of some ancient cultures. So, as always, finding these things fascinating, although a little hard to believe, I wanted to share it with you, especially since a lot of these type of transcripts are channeled material, and this one's unique in that it's an actual physical meeting. So I'll start off with the introduction, and keep in mind it's translated from Swedish to German to English, so there's a little bit of broken language in there, but I'll try and work through it. And the interviewer writes, "I certify that the following text is the absolute truth and no work of fiction. These are parts of a transcript of an interview I've made with a non-human and reptilian being in December 1999. This female being was already in contact with a friend of mine since some months. Let me first declare that I was all my life a skeptic about UFOs, aliens, and other weird things, and I thought that my friend was just telling me dreams or fictitious stories when he talked with me about his first contacts with a non-human being called Lacerta. I was still a skeptic when I met this being on December the 16th last year, which is 1999. In that small room in the remote house of my friends near a town in the south of Sweden, despite the fact that I saw now with my own eyes that she was not human. She has told me and shown me so many unbelievable things during that meeting that I can't deny the reality and truth of her words any longer. This isn't another one of those UFO papers which claim to tell the truth, but in fact just tell fiction. I'm convinced that this transcript contains the only truth, and therefore you should read it. I certify furthermore that various paranormal abilities of her species, like telepathy and telekinesis, were shown to me during the 3 hours and 6 minutes of the meeting, and I'm absolutely sure that these abilities were no tricks. The following is certainly difficult to understand and to believe for someone who hasn't experienced it, but I was really in contact with her mind, and I'm now completely sure that everything she said during the interview is the absolute truth about our world. Unfortunately, if I read the entire transcript by myself, I have the strong impression that everything I've written sounds too unbelievable to be true, that everything sounds more like a bad science fiction story from TV, and I have doubts that anyone will believe my experiences. But they are true if you believe it or not. I can't expect from you that you believe my simple words without evidence, but I can't give you that evidence. Please read the transcript and think about it, and you will maybe see the truth in these words." So you're still with me on this one? It gets a little weirder as we go along. I'll read some of the questions and some of the answers this being gives. The first question asked is, first of all, who are you and what are you? Are you an extraterrestrial species, or can your origin be found on this planet? The reptoid being answers, as you could see with your own eyes, I'm not a human being like you, and to be honest, I'm no real mammal. I'm a female reptile being belonging to a very old reptilian race. We are the native Terrans, and we have lived on this planet for millions of years. We are mentioned in your religious writings like your Christian Bible, and many of your ancient human tribes were aware of our presence and worshipped us as gods. For example, the Egyptians and the Inca and many other older tribes. Christian religion has misunderstood our role in your creation, so we are mentioned as evil serpent in your writings. Your race was genetically engineered by aliens, and we were just the more or less passive visitors of this accelerated evolution process. You must know that your species had evolved in a completely impossible speed within just 2 to 3 millions of years. This is absolutely impossible because evolution is a much slower process. Your creation was artificial and done by genetic engineering, but not by us, but by an alien species. If you ask me if I'm an extraterrestrial, I must answer no. We are native Terrans. We have some colonies in the solar system, but we originate on this planet. It's in fact our planet and not yours. It was never yours. A few questions later, she asks, how old are you? And just before that, she asks what this being's name is, and she says it's too hard to pronounce with the human tongue, so she says, just please call me Lacerta. And this is the name I generally use when I'm among humans and talk with them. And to answer the question, how old are you? Lacerta answers, we measure the time not like you in astronomical years and in the revolution of the Earth around the Sun, because we usually live beneath the surface of the planet. Our time measurement depends on periodically returning cycles in the Earth magnetic field. And according to this, I'm today, let me calculate, 57,653 cycles old. I had reached the adult phase of my awareness at 16,337 cycles ago, which is a very important date for us. According to your human time scale, I'm around 28 years old. The question is then asked, what is your task? Do you have a job like us? And she answers, to say it with words, I'm a curious student of the social behavior of your species. That's why I'm here to talk to you. That's why I've revealed my real nature to you and your friend, and that's why I've given you all this secret information. I will try to answer all your questions on many sheets of paper. I will see how you react, how others of your kind react. There are so many crazies and liars of your kind on this planet who claim to know the truth about us, about UFOs, about aliens, and so on. And some of you believe their lies. I'm interested to see how your species will react if you make the truth public. I'm quite sure every one of you will refuse to believe my words, but I hope I'm wrong, because you need to understand if you want to survive the coming years. The interviewer states, yes, I understand, but can you give me now just a short answer? Are UFOs real flying objects piloted by extraterrestrials, or do they belong to your species? She answers, some UFOs, as you call them, belong to us, but most don't. Most of the mysterious flying objects in the sky are not technological devices, but mainly misinterpretations of natural phenomena that your scientists have not yet understood. Nevertheless, some UFOs are real craft belonging either to your own species or to other alien species, or at last to us. She says if you read a report of a sighting of a metallic, bright grey cigar-shaped cylindrical object with a length of, let's say, between 20 and 260 of your meters, and if this object had made a very deep humming sound, and if there were 5 bright red lights on the surface of this cigar-shaped object, then it's likely that someone has seen one of our ships. We have also a very small fleet of disc-shaped craft, but such UFOs belong usually to an alien species. Triangular UFOs belong generally to your own military, but they use foreign technology to build them. Now, I'm going to skip a fair way ahead, and if you want to see all the questions and answers in this transcript, head on over to mysteriousuniverse.org, and I'll put the link to the Lacerta interview. And basically this being tries to explain that they've somehow evolved from the dinosaurs millions and millions of years ago. And she goes on to describe some of their physical characteristics. They say their skin's mainly of a green-beige colour, or more pale green, and they have some patterns of brown irregular dots on their skin and their faces. Their eyes are a bit larger than human eyes and usually dominated by large black pupils, which surround a small bright green iris. And then the interviewer wants to go into a bit more detail about the history of the planet and the evolution of their species, and asks the question, can you tell me something about this natural history? How old is your species? Have you evolved from primitive reptiles as mankind has evolved from apes? And Lacerta answers that this is a very long and complex story, and it certainly sounds unbelievable to you, but it's the truth. I will try to explain it in short. Around 65 million years ago, many of our unadvanced ancestors from the dinosaur race died in a great global cataclysm. The reason for this destruction was not a natural disaster, an asteroid impact as your scientists believe falsely, but a war between two enemy alien groups that mainly took place in orbit high in the atmosphere of your planet. According to our limited knowledge about these early days, this global war was the first alien war on planet Earth,